Hey guys, welcome back. Brendan Olson here with Chasing the Dream TV. We're out here today at Cedar Valley Hunt Club with the owner and dog trainer Mark Christensen. Today he's going to tell us a little bit about dog breeding and dog training. We'll kind of dive into that a little bit later. Mark, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you got going on here?
I'm Mark Christensen. Like you said, we have Cedar Valley Hunt Club and we have TLC Labradors. And we've been at the TLC Labradors part of our business since 1994.
So what do you look for when you're breeding dogs, and what kind of dog breeds do you have here?
We only raise labs, and we've been raising labs, like I said, since 1994. But we specialize in family pets and hunting dogs. And we tell most people what we really are going for is hunting dogs, while we realize a lot of people only hunt maybe 10, 12 days a year, so they still have to be a good pet 350, 355 days a year. But those 10 days you go out, you don't want the dog to embarrass you.
Right.
So the breeding and the bloodlines matters a lot, as far as will they be calm when you're just hanging out with your family, but will they also turn on the energy when we're hunting. So our bloodlines and that has been specialized over the years, so we can say we've had 3 or 4 generations of a certain type of dog, and we will produce certain things we want to produce as far as genetically, as far as, you know, good hips, good eyes, strong hunting drive. And that takes a lot of extra work, because when we run genetic tests like hips and those types of things, you can be a carrier of that, so it's a recessive gene. And so we have to do genetic tests on those dogs to make sure that we don't produce that. And some of those tests are newer. So we've learned, we kind of continually learn how to adapt to all the new technology as far as producing good dogs. Because years ago, you could breed 2 dogs and nobody knew about some of these recessive genes that could pass on.
So another thing is, what separates TLC Labradors from something where people can go online and look in South Dakota or elsewhere or newspapers, and you know, all the different kind of other puppy ads people try and sell at Christmas, etc.?
That's a great question, and what my answer would be, we've been raising dogs for a long time, and we've been pushing those genetic tests. When we sell a dog, a lot of our people, they come and work with us and see the puppies multiple times. We've sold a lot of dogs, though, to people all over the United States. We've sent them to Germany, Japan. We do a lot of what's called early neurological stimulation, and that's stuff where we roll them over, flip them over, teach them what cold and warm is. We take them out and do a lot of puppy socialization, where we play with bird wings, since we raise pheasants, and we have them out in the yard. We have them chasing birds, picking up wings, and so that really makes a huge difference when your puppy will already retrieve when you get it at 8 weeks old, compared to a dog that's scared and nervous and never been anywhere. So we start, it's not technically training, but we're just trying to encourage a good healthy beginning, as far as not teaching them bad habits before. You know, it's harder to break a bad habit than it is to teach them the right habit from the beginning. We also use that group of puppies as competition, and if you want to really encourage young dogs or even an old dog to be better, have competition.
So when someone gets one of your dogs, what's kind of one of the first words of advice you give to them when they want to start training their dog versus being a pet in the house more typically versus the traditional hunting lab?
My wife, one of the things she does, and I'm really pleased she does this, she gives everybody that buys a puppy from us a huge puppy packet. And it lists all the things like all the obedience training stuff you should be doing, all the foods you should be feeding, the books and videos you should be watching. And so I know that gives them a huge advantage compared to some other people, because they'll get their information just off the internet and maybe from someone who actually isn't a dog trainer. And to have the right information, free information is usually worth what you pay for it.
Right. Thanks, Mark. Up next, when we get back from the break, we're going to talk about dog training and kind of some tools to use in the off season.
Chasing the Dream is brought to you by Big Frig Coolers and Tumblers. Quality performance with a practical cost. And by Ridge Runner, quality knives and tools. Visit chasingthedream.com for exclusive deals on these fine products.
Hubbard's lineup of deer pellets were developed to supplement forages already found in the wild that will keep your deer herd healthy all year long. This feed has optimal levels of amino acids, minerals, and vitamins to take advantage of a buck's genetic antler growth potential. Formulated with high levels of aromatic ingredients that'll draw deer to the feed and flavor enhancers that'll keep them coming back. To learn more and to find the Hubbard dealer nearest you, visit hubbardfeeds.com.
Pontini is the perfect boat for those who love to get offshore. Whether it's for recreational fun or for outdoor sport, Pontini's custom makes and models have you covered. Manufactured with pride in Elm Creek, Nebraska, exceptional craftsmanship goes into every single boat. Pontini is the perfect miniature pontoon boat. Rugged, durable, and easy to maneuver in and out of the water. Check them out at pontini.com. When it comes to developing rich habitat on land or in water, Antelope Creek Wildlife and Ponds are the folks you need to get in touch with. Cultivating not only habitat programs, but wildlife management programs as well, turning your property into a sportsman paradise. Grow your deer, turkey, game fish, or pheasant numbers to optimal populations with tactics that address both the habitat and the wildlife it shelters. Learn more at antelopecreekwp.com.
So what's the key to producing the perfect food plot like this? Well, it all starts with your seed mix.
Introducing Kelp, Forage, and Turf's Wildlife Perfect Mixes and Blends. The perfect mix for the perfect food plot. With varieties that are adapted to each region and mixes that have been proven over the years by wildlife biologists and sportsmen alike.
So if you want a food plot like this, then you need a bag of this. From Kelp, Forage, and Turf. Wildlife Perfect. Attract the wild.
The Hidden in Plain Sight blind system by Lynch has a proven track record when hunting deer, coyotes, turkeys, antelope, and hogs. The HIPS blind system mounts to your bow, rifle, or shotgun, using effective camo patterns along with the ability to brush in with natural surrounding vegetation, enhancing the concealment. Get close to your game no matter what with the Hidden in Plain Sight blind. Learn more at hipsblinds.com.
All right, welcome back. As you can see, Mark brought a friend out. Mark, can you tell us who this is?
Yeah, this is our dog named Duck. Duck is actually a son of a 4-time Grandmaster Pointing Lab. Would be considered a yellow lab, but he is a very dark fox red. So some people call him fox red labs, but he's technically a yellow lab. We do start all of our workout when we start with puppies with about a 5-foot long leash and a choke chain. He also has an electronic collar on. I personally like Tritronics or Garmin as far as the electronic collars. I think they have the best product, and they have a great return policy and that type of stuff. Duck will probably hunt 80 or 90 days this year, and so the work we've been doing with him is lots of field work, and so we've introduced a lot of birds. We've done a lot of shot training, getting them used to, so to make sure they're not gun shy, those types of things. But everything starts off with our basic obedience. So our basic obedience always starts off with heeling, sitting, staying, and here. I don't say come here because I think come here is begging. We say duck here or duck sit, and so we want to be authoritative when we do those
So
things.
I've kind of heard a rule of thumb, you try and keep commands to one syllable, short and to the point. Would you say that's a pretty accurate statement?
Yes. Yep.
Keep it simple for young dogs.
And even when we name a dog, I like having it be a short, simple name.
So what are you going to show us here
Well,
with Duck later on? What are we going to work on?
We're going to show Duck doing some marked retrieves with a dummy launcher, and we want to teach them depth perception. And so for dogs or dog training, either one, to keep a dog really sharp is to keep their eyes sharp. And so dogs don't understand depth. It is a trained concept.
Okay.
And so we will do different ranges for those dogs so they can learn to use their eyes to get them to a general area, and then use their nose to actually find, the bird. Whether it's a duck or a pheasant or a quail, we want those dogs to be able to figure out this is more than 30 yards, it's 100 yards. And a lot of amateur trained dogs, the dog will only retrieve about the distance that I can throw a dummy. Right. So we do a lot of things over 100 because we want the dog to pick up a bird, especially if you shoot a duck or a goose and it sails off. We want that dog to trust their eyes to get them in the area, which was teaching them depth perception. So that's one of the things we'll do. We also have a really nice young dog named Lexi, and we're teaching her hand signals for duck hunting. And she is a dog that did get to duck hunt last year. And so now we're doing the next level of training to teach her how to be that a really good duck dog, when we do obedience training for a dog, we keep the dog for a month. And we can do all the basic obedience there in that month. The owners are still going to need to do a lot more work with their dog when they get it back home. But it gives them a really good foundation. If people want hunting training though, then we tell people it's between 2 and 4 months.
What do you say we go out and take Duck out and we kind of go over some of those training techniques and we show them how it's done?
Sounds great.
Chasing the Dream is brought to you by Big Frig Coolers and Tumblers, quality performance with a practical cost, and by Ridge Runner, quality knives and tools. Visit chasingthedream.com for exclusive deals on these fine products.
Duck over here, and we're starting off with our about 6 foot long leash, and this is a large choke chain. We always start off with all of our dogs for our first month just doing basic obedience, and our basic obedience we continue to do through the rest of their life to keep them sharp throughout the year. So our first command I'm going to show is going to be heel, and heel means walk next to me, and walking next to me means his front shoulders are next to my calf of my leg. And when we're heeling, that does not mean he's yanking, pulling, lunging, lurching on this leash, and he's not lagging behind. So I'm not yanking or wakeboarding behind him. We're walking nicely next to each other. So if I tell him duck, heel, I want him walking nicely next to me. My leash should be loose. I should not have to be holding on tight. If I turn, I want him turning with me like this. And so as I'm walking, like I said, there's no real pressure on this leash. If I stop walking, I want the dog to sit without having to be told. Duck had to be told. But then we tell them what they did right. So if Duck sits well, we're going to tell them good sit. We always try and get our 60 repetitions in a day. 60 repetitions of whatever we're doing right. We will say the word no forcefully if the dog does it wrong. And so the difference between a dog trainer and someone who is a regular dog owner, many times those people will say things 4, 5, 6 times. So they'll say sit, sit, come on, sit. You're begging as soon as you say it more than once. We're commanding. And the reason we command is because if I'm trying to save my dog's life because it's going to run in front of a car, begging and pleading doesn't get it. We want the dog to do it without thinking about it. So if I say duck here, I want the dog immediately turning around and coming back to me. And so we only say our commands once. If I tell duck sit and I show him my hand, I don't ever say the word stay. I drop the leash and I want to walk away. I want him to give me eye contact and I want him to follow me with his eyes. If he does, nope, sit. So if he moves, we're just going to move him back. Sit. And we're just going to let him just be calm. I'm not going to try and make him move. I don't want to have him make any mistakes, but I want to also tempt him into making a mistake. So if I get down on his level, if I clap, nope. So we teach through mistakes. So he made a mistake there. I said the word no. We're going to make him sit back down. Sit. And I want to do it again. And I want to see if I can trick him into moving again. If he does it right, no. If he does it right, then I'll pet him. If he moves at all, then we don't pet him. So we're going to do it again until he does it right. Sit. If he stays good, then we're going to come over and pet him. Good. Sit. I want to pet him only on top of the head because that's what I do as a boss. I'm not going to rub his belly here because we're working right now. If I tell him to sit and I tell him a command like duck here, I want him to heel and sit when he comes to me. That stops him from jumping on me. That stops him from doing all the other things. So when I told him to come here, he immediately ran around behind me and sat at my heeling side, which is my left-hand side. So those are our basic couple commands. Heeling, sitting. Sitting means sit in, stay, and then here. From there, we go on to our field work, which is off-leash obedience, and that's why we use an electronic collar. And we go with the same method as we say it once and mean it, and we say the dog's name. So sometimes we will use whistles. Whistles will teach the dog to come here without the verbal word. So 1 blast means sit, 2 blast means come here. And that is a very simple concept for dogs to adapt or learn. We can go now and go do some field work where we show you some things to do to keep your dog ready to work during the off season, to teach them their depth perception and how to retrieve well.
Chasing the Dream is brought to you by Big Frig Coolers and Tumblers, quality performance with a practical cost, and by Ridge Runner, quality knives and tools. Visit chasingthedream.com for exclusive deals on these fine products.
Hunter's Reserve is the healthiest, best-tasting wild game snacks on the market. Gluten-free, nitrate-free, no MSG, and no fillers. Family-owned and operated, Hunter's Reserve has specialized in premium wild game snacks for over 20 years. Their gourmet wild game meats are all natural, lean, low in cholesterol, and they don't sacrifice on flavor. Hunter's Reserve, adventure you can taste.
For working and sporting dogs, the pros will tell you that regular dog food won't do. Their active dogs need performance nutrition just like yours. That's why they feed Kinetic Performance Dog Food. Each Kinetic formula is made with 3 animal proteins and no fillers like corn, wheat, or soy. This lets you feed less and still get more energy, faster recovery, and better weight maintenance. If health and performance matter to you, give Kinetic a try. We built it for our dogs, but you'll love it for yours.
Chasing the Dream is brought to you by Big Frig Coolers and Tumblers, quality performance with a practical cost, and by Ridge Runner, quality knives and tools. Visit chasingthedream.com for exclusive deals on these fine products.
All right, here in a minute we're going to have Mark show us a way to keep your dogs in shape by doing some marked retrieves. What we'll end up seeing here in a minute is Chantel, Mark's daughter. She will be out in the field with a dummy launcher that launches a foam dummy with a construction style 22 blank. And the purpose of this drill is, one, the dummy launches a lot farther than the traditional person can throw a dummy, so it teaches the dog to go further than the traditional 20 yards and maybe 30 yards you can throw a dummy for when you're actually out in the field.
Good boy! So he ran straight to it, which is what we wanted. Good boy. So we want to praise him a lot when they bring it back. And one of the things a lot of people will do wrong is they will take it immediately from the dog and they don't pet them for when they bring it back. The biggest reward is that they got to retrieve. So, duck, sit. See how fast Duck is. But he ran a little short, so now is where we want him to use our nose and figure it out. Good boy! We have to have them develop confidence, and they only get that through experience. Good boy, Duck. Here. That boy. Good boy. So he brings it right back to us, drops it at my feet like that. We're okay with that because we're still training, we're getting him really excited.
Well, we had a lot of fun today out at Cedar Valley Hunt Club. We got to see some of the puppies, see some of the things Mark does out there. Just want to give a big shout out to Mark Christensen and his family and Cedar Valley Hunt Club for having us out, along with Above Aspect Productions for the drone footage during the dog training. Also like to know if you guys are going to be training your own dog, you can do what I did when I was in college and didn't have the money to pay a trainer. You can go out and get some DVDs, do some research, and just kind of take a couple quick hit notes here and there. Some of the other things to consider is you're going to need the time to do it. I had a lot of time being in college, don't have the time now, so a dog trainer might pay more dividends now than it would have when I bought my first dog. Some of the things you really want to learn: your sit, stay, come, and here. But don't use the word come here, because then that confuses the dog. You like to keep your commands to one syllable. You also want to stay consistent with the dog training. Don't let the dog get away with things here and there and etc. I'd also like to just thank everyone for coming out and watching us here at Chasing the Dream. I'm Brendan Olson, and look forward to seeing you next time.
Chasing the Dream is brought to you by Big Frig Coolers and Tumblers, quality performance with a practical cost, and by Ridge Runner, quality knives and tools. Visit chasingthedream.com for exclusive deals on these fine products.